When we see commandos going down from the top level of an apartment building to its bottom with ropes, we are amazed. We applaud and we compliment them. Could a spider do a better job than a commando? With the string that it weaves, the spider goes up and down in a flash. A commando could never match the speed of a spider and could only be an apprentice. To hunt its prey, the spider ties itself to the tree with its string and jumps on top of its victim. The string is strong enough to carry both itself and its prey. While its prey sticks to the web, the spider has a liquid on its legs that prevent it from being stuck. Like with the spider, when we look at the universe carefully, we can see that every creature has its own duty and its own specific conditions for life. As soon as the creature comes into this world, it begins to uphold its duty and completely accommodates itself to the conditions of its life. In fact, as if it has been trained in another realm, it never confuses its duty and is not behind even for one moment. This situation proves that there is an entity behind the curtain who trains them, who teaches them their duties, and who makes them congruent with their life's conditions. Without accepting this entity, it is not possible to explain the discipline and training that openly occurs in sight. To better comprehend this reality, we will look at the training of a honeybee, and through this training, we will open the windows to God's existence. A honeybee works without stopping and resting. It visits 20,000 flowers per day and covers 2 million kilometers during its life. The honeybees offer us sweet honey that results from their grueling labor. Now, we ask the person who renounces God. 1. Who taught the bee to make this honey? Even if all humans were to come together, they could not produce a gram of honey. How is it that a poisonous insect is able to accomplish this task? Or is the honeybee smarter than us? 2. It is not sufficient that the bee knows how to make honey, because this service is not just to produce honey alone. Honey has been created to be useful for humans. In that case, the producer of honey should be aware of the human and know about their anatomy. However, the bee does not have such knowledge. Or, do you claim that the bee is cognizant of humans and is familiar with their anatomy? 3. The production of honey and the feeding of it to people is a result of compassion, mercy, and sympathy. Yet the bee has no compassion or mercy towards us. The proof of this is seen through a bee stinging us with its poisonous stinger when it has the chance. If the bee has no compassion towards us, then who is it that shows us mercy as well as compassion, and that extracts honey from the bee? Four, the bee has a bigger duty to undertake than just inoculating flowers. It carries one flower's pollen to another to enable flower production. When the bee lands on a flower, pollen sticks to its sticky and tight hairs. The bee spreads the pollen from the first flower by subsequently landing on a separate flower from the same species. The performance of this duty yields an interesting display. For example, if a honeybee lands on a rose, it will not subsequently land on another type of flower until it is finished perching on all roses within proximity. The reason for this is that if the bee landed on different types of flowers, then pollination could not occur, since the bees would be carrying pollens from various flower types, and as a result, the generations of flowers would become extinct. Now we ask, how does the honeybee recognize flower types? Why is it making a tiresome journey so that flower production can continue? Who equipped the honeybee with hairs that are suitable for pollination? Five. It is an amazing deed to produce honey in the tiny belly of the bee and to prevent the honey from being contaminated by the poison that could destroy the organs. Could a dumb insect be an agent of such extraordinary deeds? Now we continue from the training of the honeybee to another scene. The temperature of a honeycomb has to be 35 degrees Celsius for the infant honeybees to be born. If the temperature dropped to 30 degrees Celsius, then all baby honeybees would die. Or, if it rose to 40 degrees this time, disabilities or death would result. Yes, the temperature of a honeycomb must be exactly 35 degrees Celsius. Well then, does the temperature ever drop or rise? Of course, it drops and rises. However, the honeybees have found a solution to it too. When the temperature drops to 30 degrees, the bees mount on top of the honeycomb and try to raise the temperature to 35 degrees by shivering. They fulfill the role of a heater, so to speak. If the temperature rises to 40 degrees, they will flap their wings to cool the comb, as if they are fulfilling the role of a fan. Now we ask the person who delegates this act of cultivation to coincidence. 1. How do the bees know that the temperature of the honeycomb has to be 35 degrees? Presumably, until you heard this information, you did not know either. How can an insect know something that the most intelligent of the creatures, the human, does not know? 2. Let us suppose that they do know. Then from where did they learn this technique of heating the comb? 3. Who taught them to flap their wings when the temperature of the honeycomb rises? 4. First of all, do the bees have thermometers to know the temperature? Of course not, because we have never seen a bee carrying a thermometer. So how do they measure the temperature? 5. Why is it so important for them that the infant bees live? Why do they not enjoy the remainder of their 1 or 2 week lives instead of preoccupying themselves with saving the babies? Who is the one who is making them work like dutiful soldiers? We only looked at one or two aspects of the honeybee and the training that takes place in relation to it. Dozens of pages can be written on the other characteristics of the honeybee, and hundreds of questions can be asked. While the training of only the honeybee cannot be explained, the different types of training of countless other creatures, such as fish, the silkworm, insects, other animals and plants, appear in front of us. Is it possible that these hundreds of types of training are just works of coincidence? Or that these creatures learned them on their own? Could a person who has not lost his brain ever consider this as a possibility?